Hello and welcome to Talkin Baseball. Roki Sasaki is a Los Angeles Dodger. We are shocked. Let's talk about it. Let's talk ball.
Splitter, obviously.
Tommy had been blown out.
Oh, what? In practice?
Hello and welcome to Talkin Baseball, presented to you by SeatGeek. Code Talkin 25, I believe. My name is Jake Storielli. That is Trevor, Plouffe, producer Rob Scirocco on a Saturday morning. We couldn't get the Friday night shift on. I had a little date night going. Trev was coaching him up on the court, it looked like. Teddy ball game, getting his hoops up as we found out what everyone kind of assumed, but it still had to happen. Roki Sasaki is a Dodger. And, man, I can't wait to peel back a couple more layers because people are saying one of the best rotations ever assembled. People are saying one of the best teams ever assembled. And, man, it is Trev as an LA man. And I know people are questioning, wait, does he like the Dodgers? Is he a Dodger hater? Dude, cool for LA. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing great. I don't coach Teddy's basketball team. I just was in the stands watching it. But yeah, we tried to get a show out last night. The schedule didn't line up. So here we are on a Saturday morning. And yeah, it's all about the Dodgers and Roki. And maybe a little bit about the Blue Jays, I guess. I don't want to, I don't mean to go there, but I think we got to go there at some point during the episode, right?
Yeah.
But this is, for a while I was thinking San Diego Padres. And that was my prediction. A lot of people are telling me, well, you were so wrong. I'm like, yeah, well, I don't know Roki, bro. I'm sorry. I was just guessing where I thought he'd want to go because I thought the Dodgers had too many pitchers. And I thought Roki would be like, let me go somewhere where I can, really help out a ball club. Obviously, you can help out any ball club, but it's gluttonous, if we're being honest, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I put it out there yesterday on X. I said, best roster since. It is, I think, if you're looking at this Dodgers roster on paper, it is in the discussion for one of the best rosters ever assembled in the game of baseball, which is, you either think that's really cool or you don't think that's cool at all. But it is what it is. There's just no doubt about it. So maybe he was going to go there all along. I saw a lot of people saying, yeah, obviously he was going to go there. And maybe that was the case. But the Dodgers, the rich get richer, I guess. It really is astounding to look at what they're able to do with their starting rotation, with their lineup, with their depth. I mean, they are a complete team, and everyone's playing catch up. There's no doubt about it. Look, I get we got to play the games. 162. That probably doesn't matter for the Dodgers, but playoffs, a short series, anything can happen. But as of right now, I mean, I got to. What are the Dodgers' odds going to be for the World Series going in? Are they going to be a plus 100? Are they going to be a minus to win the World Series? It's crazy. Yeah. They're obviously the favorite.
Yeah, they will be the favorite. It is interesting in this sport to what degree. One of the prouder things baseball has to hang their hat on is there isn't a repeat champion since 2000. So the Dodgers are going to put that to the test. What was that?
Who was that? What organization?
I'm not a history guy. I like to.
You're a math guy.
Present. I'm a math guy who lives in the present. The expectations are going to be very interesting with that team in that city. And I don't know, are LA and Japan just like, are we just going to make a bridge over there? Like, what's?
I want to. So I think the interesting thing is, was this a long play? Like, not a long con, like a long play by the Dodgers all along?
Right.
Starting from, okay, look, Shohei chose the Angels, which was like going back, like thinking about that, like what was the reasoning? I'm not really sure. Was it the play with Mike Trout?
The only time that comes up in conversations, and again, I'm not a history guy, I'm a math man. But I do remember other teams talked about limiting Shohei. Like there was teams.
Yes.
There were teams
didn't want him to do both.
Right. That I think I don't know where everything landed, but the LA factor multiplied by, hey, dude, you go out there and you can do whatever you want. Like, there's some teams said he
True.
could hit at a high school level. So I think that was big for Shohei.
I don't want to name names because there were some people out there that have some really bad takes. Anyways, maybe he likes Disneyland. Maybe that was it.
Trout? I don't know.
Anyways, I'm just saying, was this in Friedman's mind, in the rest of the front office's mind, like, hey, like if we get Shohei, we can create a sort of a pipeline. We've seen what the Japanese guys can do in the WBC, man. Like, this is not like, oh yeah, this is cool. Like, it's a novelty act. We're gonna get some business in Japan. No, these guys are killers, bro. These guys are some of the best players in the world. And if you can create an atmosphere where all of a sudden you're the premier place to go, drawing from another, pool of players that really, like, only a few other teams even have a chance to get them. Let's do it. I mean, it's what they've created in LA it's so attractive right now to everyone. And it's a lot of people are saying it's bad for baseball. I don't think it is. I think it's keep up. Find a way to freaking keep up then. Like, that's kind of the name of the game, man. I don't know what else there is to say, Jake. It's pretty wild, man.
Yeah, no, it's on the baseball side, and maybe people end up laughing that there isn't a ton to say. Like, Rob just sent the DK odds. Dodgers are plus 350 to win the World Series, which, again, as World Series odds goes, that's pretty dang good, because you not only
Yes.
do you have to come out of your league and be one of the best 15 teams, then you have to face the best team in a 7-game set. And baseball doesn't always work like that. And I will say, this is getting way too ahead of the skis. The most dangerous thing in baseball right now are the 5-game sets, are the division series that we might not really find out what it means for this Dodgers team until then. They are going to be good. Let's see how injuries go out through the year. And you could say this for any team, but man, 5 games to decide your season. Going back to recent postseasons, going back to previous postseasons, those are going to be some real pressure packed games, because the defending champs are going to be back in the dance. They're going to win the West, Trev. Like, when can you say that in this sport? And
I mean,
I guess maybe I'm teeing myself up for regret or a bad clip or whatever, because I was big on the Braves. Like, I thought they had a really good chance to run it back because they had such a good young core. Ronald Acuna wasn't a part of their World Series, that I was like, they've got new pieces coming in. Like, they could really evolve here. It hasn't gone that way. And even, last year was they didn't win the East. So baseball can happen, but dude, this is different. They have layers. Bobby Miller, who became a talking
dude.
baseball favorite, mostly because of you, is now an aftermath in the 7th paragraph of every article, where it's like, yeah, they could use him. And it's like, for a lot of teams, he could be one of their top prospects.
They have 4 of those guys, 5 of those guys in the same ilk as Bobby Miller. Dustin May, Tony Gonsolin, River Ryan, Stoner, Bobby. Like, it's crazy, dude. So let's talk about Sasaki individually a little bit, kind of like what he brings to the table. If people don't know, I feel like people have probably seen what he brings, but this guy is 23 years old. And remind you, he got a whatever it was, $6-7 million signing bonus. Was it 8? I don't know what it was.
I think it landed at 6.5. They traded
Peanuts.
they traded for a little extra money from the Reds and another team.
So now he will be going through just a regular old process. 3 years of league minimum, 3 years of arbitration for a guy that throws over 100 miles an hour, who has a splitter that grades out on the 20/80 scale at like a 70 or an 80. And he also throws a slider, which people are calling an average pitch. It's a 92 mile an hour slider.
Yeah.
It's going to get better. So watching this guy throw, it's easy cheese. It's got a little bit of run to it, life to his fastball. The splitter, he can shape a couple different ways. I think that's obviously his pitch, and especially because not a lot of them get thrown in the States, it's devastating, man. When a guy has a good splitter with good arm action, it's a guessing game.
Right.
You don't know exactly where the ball's going to go because it doesn't do the same thing every single time. And he's able to manipulate it. Sometimes he gets more horizontal with it. Sometimes he gets more vertical with it. And then, I mean, that is just, what are you going to do? Some of the swings, I went back and watched some highlights from the WBC. Some of the swings he was eliciting from Team Mexico. Like there's a swing Verdugo took on a splitter that was just like, what are you going to do?
Right.
So this guy's going to come over. And it's not like, hey, we'll see how he's going to do. Like, he's going to be a top of the line pitcher.
Right.
Like, there's like almost no doubt about it. His stuff is that. It's not like, hey, man, if he misses a spot, like, he's got to really be precise. He doesn't because he has that power stuff. He's going to get better with the Dodgers because we've seen pitchers come and do that, and they're getting him for the league minimum and then 3 years of arbitration. I guess my thought on all that, too, is can't the Dodgers right now just be like, hey, man, I mean, they don't have to, and it doesn't behoove them whatsoever. But they could, I think, just say, hey, here's $100 million for the next, I don't know, 8 years. Let's buy 2 years of free agency. Would he do that? I don't know, but they could do that.
Yeah,
doesn't make any sense because why would they do that?
There's definitely I've thought about that. There has to be some rules in the CBA, because otherwise it would make all this international pool money irrelevant. Like, okay, so Roki Sasaki plays for 2 months and then you can extend it. Like, there'd be so many.
I don't know what the deal is because that would be a negotiating tool. If you were trying to get him to come, you would say, hey, we'll sign you to a long-term deal right away. Right? And then he'd be like, okay. There has to be a rule against that.
There's something in the CBA because I was trying to think because Fernando got extended really early, so I was trying to couldn't teams just do that? Couldn't teams be like, hey, we're gonna sign?
They must be able to.
There has to be rules around it. We'll get in one of our rules. Like I don't know, from the day you sign the day you sign an international free agent, they need to be on your roster for 3 years before you extend them. I have no clue. I'm literally making up rules as I go. Ain't that life? Yeah, more Sasaki Dodgers. What you're saying about Sasaki is the variables are health, and the variables are adapting to the league. And I think with the recent Japanese pitchers that have come over, adapting to the league ain't been a problem. It's been a problem for the hitters because you don't see them. You don't see a lot of splitters. You don't. And I think the thing that should be horrifying, and I don't know if people want to go to DraftKings and put down some bets on things, but Roki Sasaki's stats, and I think people are going to go the other way on this at first, but he had a 2.10 ERA, a 0.89 WHIP, 505 strikeouts and 88 walks, and 394 innings in his last 4 years. So that's 4 seasons. He was a stud. Like, that's what that tells you. Here's the thing that should horrify people. Sagano came over for the Orioles this year, and and latter part of his career, he's coming over 1-year deal. I think I looked at his stats last year, and I think over like a full 100, I should get the stats, but his strikeout numbers were very low. Like, Sagano had, let's say he had 150 innings, he had 80 strikeouts, because over there they still value putting the ball in play and not striking out. And they were doing Sagano's projections for next year, and his strikeouts were supposed to take a hike. Like, they were supposed to go up. So when people think about MLB and comparing to the other leagues, it used to be MLB is just in another class in a different world. In a way, it still is. The depth of Major League Baseball and the top-end talent, absolutely. But as we've seen with the WBC and as we've seen these other leagues catch up around the world, those strikeout numbers probably go up in Major League Baseball as teams value the home run and swinging big. That Roki's going to be an animal. He's going to be an animal. It's just to what degree. And it's with this rotation, which Yamamoto came over last year, and it felt like people were unamused with his 18 starts at a 3 flat ERA. The best player to ever play baseball is going back to the rotation, and I think that's one of the best perks for the Dodgers fans. Like you can be as careful with Shohei as you need. They can do 2 Shohei starts a month if they want. Like, you be as careful with that man as you need to with him coming off of injury. The other thing that, Trev, this is Andrew Friedman, when he came out, the Dodgers GM, for I forget if it was the NLCS championship or when they won the World Series. He kind of had the LA vibe going. He had the jeans were a little snug. He had a fit going. Andrew Friedman tasted himself a little bit, and he should. He's got the keys to, we're looking at a potential baseball dynasty. I know we love to use words like that. Snell, who they signed, which, oh my God, people know how much I've raved about him. Glasnow, our guy, and how gross he is. Passan says he's winning a Cy Young, his full healthy season. Drafted by the Rays when Andrew Friedman was there. So I'm just wondering, I watched Moneyball over the weekend, and obviously Billy Beane became a star of baseball for different reasons and building a team differently. And yes, what's Friedman's angle of okay, I got Snell and Glasnow out of high school. I knew they were coming, and now I've got them on the Dodgers. I've got the 3 best pitchers in Japan, and I've got a pitching factory coming. They're unstoppable, dude.
It's pretty awesome, and I do want to speak on that a little bit, but I did find the answer to our question.
Okay.
So you're not allowed to have any sort of talks about a long-term contract.
Great.
But as soon as he signs with you, you can start. There's no window. So listen, there's a quote from Jim Bowden, your guy.
My guy, America's GM.
I think you're going to find that there is going to be multiple teams that are going to ask the commissioner's office to investigate this particular signing. There were several front offices that believed there was a pre-cut deal between the Dodgers and Roki Sasaki before this process started and before the window came when you're allowed to negotiate with the player. This was, of course, denied by his camp. I don't look.
Yeah.
You gotta, the Dodgers, I think now, there's no reason for them to bend the rules or to break the rules. They're already so freaking good. I don't think they'd risk doing that. Although maybe this is worth the risk, getting a guy like this for that kind of money. But that's our answer. You cannot negotiate that extension or talk about it while he's making his decision. As soon as he signs with you, do whatever you want. He's your player.
So watch.
Again, it doesn't behoove the Dodgers to do anything right now.
And it might.
And when you talk about his injuries a little bit, 120 innings, I think, is the max he's thrown in Japan. He had an oblique in 2023. He had some right arm discomfort in 2024. So they're going to be careful. Yeah. 6-man rotation for sure. I think Shohei is not scheduled to be back until May, if I understand correctly, is on the mound. So they have depth. They don't care about that. Friedman. Yeah, I think that's one thing that people miss about the Dodgers. Is this is not a team that was just bought. Like, they've drafted and developed.
Yeah.
They've traded and they've signed free agents, dude. And it's signed free agents from the US. They've signed free agents from the international side. So they have done it all different ways. It is not, you want to blame someone, blame the Red Sox.
Whoa.
Sending Mookie over there, dude.
Yeah.
You never should have done that.
What? Hey, why don't you guys go to SeatGeek? It's a new year, and to celebrate another year of our amazing partnership with SeatGeek, we have a new code for you guys. It's Talkin 2025 for 10% off tickets at SeatGeek. Go to LA. You're going to see a lot of talent on any field or court out there. Trev's debating if he's going to go see a big LA game this weekend. SeatGeek, concerts, sports, festivals, and more. NFL, NBA. It's SeatGeek, guys. You guys know their name by now, and you should know that they're giving you 10% off with code TALKIN2025. Go see a game. I went to a show last night. Trev might be going to see the Rams. He doesn't know yet. Code Talkin 2025, 10% off your next set of tickets at SeatGeek. Thank you, SeatGeek. All right. I do think, Trev, it's something you mentioned briefly, and I forget if it was Alden Gonzalez or one of the articles I was reading. I don't think it can be underestimated that, yes, the Dodgers are winning, which I've been driving home that point as much as I can. Having a winning organization, I think Roki was interested in that, and I think every player is interested in that. I'm going to hit you with some vibes, Trev. Going to Dave Roberts, going to that clubhouse, going to the energies there. Players want to be there, and I'll send a little bit of a shot fired at my Yankees. There's been some quotes over the past couple years that the Yankees are rigid, and remember there was that article, an unnamed player was like, guys don't want to be here, or I don't know what that is. I don't know if that's the hustle bustle of New York City compared to us chill Cali bros. But I'm everything in the blender. This didn't come down to money. Any team could have put together the same amount of money that Roki was going to get. He wanted winning, he wanted an atmosphere, and the pitching development that a few teams do have, but the Dodgers also have, that you combine that with the West Coast, which, okay, I do see a plus appeal for being a Japanese player there. Hey, there are other teams on the West Coast. Shohei signed with the Angels. Seattle need pitching. But like, I don't know. It's where I want to give credit to the Dodgers. A, going out and doing everything, but B, having this environment that I do think at the end of the day, it was a no-brainer for Roki.
Maybe that was his thought process all along. Like, let's see if another team can woo me, but my preference is the Dodgers. And yeah, look, again, it speaks to what I was kind of talking about with how they've constructed this team. Like, they are doing everything the right way. And do they have the resources more than other teams? I would say yes. They have an ownership group that is willing to spend money. They do have a nice TV deal, but there are other teams that are in a similar position that could do things like this, and they choose not to because there is a risk factor involved. But now they took the risk. They signed these players. They went and made trades, and now it's like this cog, bro, that I don't see it slowing down anytime soon. Because the team is good. The guys are locked up. They have, from what I can tell and what guys have told me, some of the best player development in all of baseball. They have a ton of coaches that want to be there. They treat their coaches well in the minor leagues, so it creates a great atmosphere there. And then look, people that don't live in Los Angeles, a lot of times LA gets probably more shit than any city in the US. Like, oh, they're fake, they're all this. Dude, LA is awesome. Like, it's there's a lot of great places to live. There is a lot of fun things to do. There's a lot of opportunity out here for off the field stuff. The weather's good. Like, there's a lot of things to like about Los Angeles. So it's just, again, like, they got this thing rolling, and I don't know when it's going to stop. I don't know. Shohei's contract means a lot too. Like,
right? It's always tricky with sports because whenever you say things like that, something happens, something that we have.
But what would have to happen to stop this freaking team and this organization? It would have to be like 3 or 4 guys going down, and even then, what does that even mean? They have so many reinforcements, and I think they've done a good job not prospect hugging, for being honest.
Yeah.
Like, they've made trades, dude.
Right, but I guess the counter that 25 other teams would want to say right now is that they feel the way their organization is currently run, that team has to hug a prospect like that they need them to click because they're not going to win Sasaki. They're not going to
but you got to find a way to be able to woo people, dude. Like that. Great segue, Jake. You're the best. Into Toronto. Always the bridesmaid, never the bride.
I'll let you cook a little bit because I tread carefully. Those Toronto fans.
They're feeling the exact same way, man. They have from all I hear from them, and shout out Toronto. I love Toronto. Probably my favorite road city. Chicago and Toronto. I also love New York. Like Toronto's awesome, dude.
Right.
It is such a fun city. And the
Right.
ballpark and the fans, I freaking loved playing in Toronto. It's very like it is a city that I think a lot of people should consider if they're free agents. It's a ton of fun. Um, from all I hear from their fans, they got a ton of money. It's like, who owns it again?
The whole country, I don't
Yeah, I
know, but
don't know. Oh,
now
there's
we buy in
like a
Canada. I know
cellular company, whatever. Like,
they're
so I
Canada
hear
team.
they have the resources. It's just finding a way to separate yourself from everybody else. And I think to your point, winning does that. And Toronto hasn't exactly, they've had winning seasons, they've made the playoffs, but they haven't, gotten to that next level yet. And they're in a crux now. Like, I think they really, really want to compete this year. I think they're trying to sign Vladdy to a long-term deal before he hits free agency. We'll see if they can do that. But you got to find a way to separate yourself from these organizations, and you have to get creative. And it's everyone's chasing the Dodgers right now. It's the truth, man.
Right.
And I don't really know how they catch up. I don't really know. Like, the
Yeah.
Mets are trying to, and they have, an owner that's brazen and willing to spend, but even there, like, they don't have the same gravitational pull
Right.
right now that the Dodgers do.
No, and I think the things we don't know about the Dodgers is where I say this weep, bro. Where does this end? Like this could be the start. Like this could just be the formation of them doing whatever they want. We could see them clean up at the trade deadline. We could see them next free agent. Like this might not be peak. They signed Ohtani last year. They clearly had a plan to make that unique
Dude,
contract and go and get it.
think about the guys we mentioned that are on waiting in the wings to pitch. Do you know how valuable those guys are?
Right.
Young, controllable pitchers?
It's one of my old favorite talking baseball games. What's Tony Gonsolin's career ERA?
Oh, yeah. Isn't it like in the ones or something?
So it was in the twos. With last year he jumped into the three. So
Oh, darn it, Tony.
he's a 3.38 career. So
Yeah, I mean, look, I would assume that we will see a couple of those guys get traded.
but I wouldn't assume quickly. Like I think they're gonna, especially after the injuries that we've seen their pitching have, that we've seen other teams pitching have in
Yeah.
previous years.
Snell, Glasnow, Sasaki all have injury histories. Haven't thrown
Right?
over, and obviously Shohei coming off of not TJ, but TJ.
And Trev, they don't need to move guys. It's not like we're talking about their corner outfield spot like that could be a hole for them. It's like, no, they brought in Conforto for shits and giggles.
I forgot.
Um, so they don't need to. And it goes back to, and Trev, maybe this is you changing the game, but your little speech on like, hey, depth used to be a good thing. Not like, oh, we have depth we had to trade. It was like, oh, we have depth and we like that. I think that's where the Dodgers are at. And if you're another NL team listening, if you're the Phillies, if you are the Mets, if the Brew Crew, what dude, R.I.P. Uke, that was brutal to find out. I mean, what just a legend, and I didn't realize how much of a legend. Like I knew he was in Major League, but like, dude, he was a regular on Carson. Like that's some old.
You want to go Uke? We can go Uke right now. Just a
Let's
little.
let's end on Uke, but I want to make sure we didn't miss it. Um, but like the playoffs are going to happen. They're short series, and it's again, I don't know if it's a problem with baseball that now we have so many teams getting into the playoffs. But now if we have teams like the Dodgers forming, whoever the Dodgers have to play in five. What if the Dodgers and Phillies have to link up for a 5-game set? Loser goes home, and I'm interested to see is the rest of baseball going to turn on the Dodgers? Like the Trevor, I grew up being a Yankees fan. I still get it, dude. If there's a random dude at the airport and I'm wearing a Yankees hat, and, oh, the Yankees, bro. And I get it. Like they were in the bidding on Juan Soto, lost by the way. But it was the Yankees. They bought the free agents and they won a lot. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Yankees haven't been winning a lot. The Yankees target has gotten smaller. People care less.
Yes.
Hey, Yankees front office, people care less.
Yes.
Anyway, I'm interested to see if the Dodgers get a little of that, man.
I think they will. River Ryan. Sorry, I just looked all this up. River Ryan, free agent 2031.
Right.
Gavin Stone, 2030. Bobby Miller, 2030. Dustin May's a free agent next year. He could be someone they would move. Tony Gonsolin has 2 more years. So, like,
Dustin May could also start the NL All-Star game. So
yes, he could.
just want both sides here.
Are the Dodgers going to start to be hated? Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's what we do in a media landscape in America. We build motherfuckers up,
right,
and then we tear them down. That's just kind of how it goes. I mean, dude, every single person that reaches, like, hey, Kelsey Bros, I've been saying this for a while. Stop doing so much commercials, bro. Like, I think they're nice guys, whatever, but like people like too much success creates a little bit of envy, and I think people start to get sick of it.
Trev, I'm going to whisper this. This is just for the Talking Baseball people. Okay. No, nobody share this. No. Imagine if Travis and Taylor broke up.
Don't say that.
The
bro.
Kelsey
the
Bros.
Swifties are the Swifties.
The Kelsey Bros would have to go to Guam or something. Like, I don't know.
If he did something bad, don't you dare.
This didn't happen. This conversation didn't happen, and it's not gonna happen.
I love love.
They're great guys.
Yes, the Dodgers will start to get much hate. Will it reach New York status, like evil empire? I don't think so, because they're not as rigid of an organization. I think their players kind of have like more fun. It's not so
Dude, they have
businessy.
lovable guys. Mookie's one of the most beloved guys ever. Freddie, like Shohei's, like they're all so lovable. Glass now, dude.
Yes.
If
they let the personality shine. The Yankees didn't necessarily do that.
If you met Glass now and he was your local barista, you would text your buddies and be like, I met this chill dude who's working at
I think you'd tell him to start an OnlyFans. That's what you would do. Like, you're so hot.
You go that route. Everyone knows where we stand on Snell. I mean, get ready for bump days.
Oh, dude, I gotta talk to Snell. I've been playing Fortnite lately.
Yes. Oh, he'll be so hyped. Trevor Plouffe.
I think I'm not good enough yet. I'll just like duos, me and him. I'll like revive me.
Yeah. Where are you? I'm hiding. I think we should wrap this up with a little bit of the ripple effect, because Rob was telling us Heyman's got the Twitter fingers going, and this was the next shoe to drop. Like, Roki was, I know, monetarily not as significant as a lot of other free agencies. You mentioned Toronto, who's getting a lot of the always the bridesmaid, never the bride, and it is very interesting to see how they need to sit down and have a conversation of how are we going to do this? Because if we're going to match offers or even be better than offers and get beat, then we need to change up our value proposition. Yeah. Maybe I watched too much Moneyball the other night. But
kind of love that for you.
Vladdy's going to hit free agency. And I guess where I just jumped to is if Vladdy does have all things equal, I'm Toronto, I lock him up. I don't care if it's an extra year, an extra couple million. If he wants to be a foundational piece for my team, I need to do that, because a lot of teams are going to be willing to do that. I wonder if they need more representation or something. Supposedly they're in on Santander now, which I've said from the start, and I will start collecting receipts if that happens. There is a Pete Alonso, which that could just be Heyman stirring the pot a little bit. That in the AL East right now, Toronto is looking like they have an argument for last. And I don't know. Again, Toronto fans, they had a big chip on their shoulder. Like, here we come. We are the future. And I shouldn't hold that against them, because I'd probably be hoping the same thing, that now they've found themselves in a weird spot. And I don't know. I feel bad for them. And the Padres are the same story, but a very different tune, where they went out and were the belle of the ball for 2 years. And now Roki, it felt like he was going to save their whole offseason if it happened. And now it's like, what the hell are they going to do?
I think we give people and organizations, excuse me, a little too much crap about not being able to sign these guys. It's not as easy as like offering just a little bit more, or it's guys have to want to go there. So it takes two to tango, and sometimes you're just really not even in the race, and they're just feeling you out.
Right.
And even like in free agency, if you some of these teams, if they offered much more money, it doesn't matter. So I think there are just I guess I don't know what Toronto has to do to, kind of get people to sign with them and not just have them be the runner up. They got to figure something out. I don't know what it
I
would
guess
be.
okay, and a lot of people probably don't care, but you said you loved visiting Toronto. Like okay, Trev, it's your free agency, 2016, and Toronto comes knocking. If they had a same offer as other teams, would that have done anything for you? Your family has lived in
No,
America up until this point. Like,
see that's the thing. Like my thought process on if I was a free agent, would I want to go to Toronto? I was like, it just seems like it's out of the country. Like my family's gonna have
right?
to go through customs, and like doing that every single time you have to take a road trip. And they make it really easy. If you're on the team plane, that would be something I would think about. And I preferred the West Coast, and like sometimes it's just that. Look at the Corbin Burns
Yeah,
signing this year. He just wanted to play where his house was because he's got young kids, dude. Wanted to be home. He wanted to
right.
stay in spring training. He didn't want to move his family around. Like this, you can't. Sometimes you just have to. It just has to match up, and just has to be like a natural fit. Um, is is Toronto like a little less cool now that Drake got beat by
Oh
Kendrick?
wow.
I don't know.
We always end up here. Um, I don't know about that. I think
Okay,
I think
is
I
that
think
I'm
Drake
out on
brought
that one.
Toronto up for a
He
little bit.
did. He did a good job bringing
Um,
Toronto up.
but yeah, I guess that's where I don't know. If they brought us in, I wouldn't know where to start. I don't know if it's, hey, do you guys just need to find like really talk to agents and be like, hey, will your guys sign an extension in Toronto? Like, do we just need to get ahead of things more? Because at the same time, they've brought in talent and they've won free agents, but they've usually had to go a little extra bit that maybe it's finding the guys that you don't like. Chris Bassett, he got kind of what the market expected when he signed that year. Like, do you just need to attack those guys more heavily if they don't care about it? Because like you said, I would care about it. Like I'm living in Canada. I don't know.
You got to sell. You got to sell yourself. So I think what the Dodgers can do is say, "Hey, you come here, and yeah, we're going to pay you, and yeah, we have a good team, but there's a ton of opportunity for you, for your brand, and that's important to people nowadays. I
Yeah.
mean, it means something, especially if you're not one of these guys that's getting, 40, 30 or $40 million a year. Like, yeah, I want to make some money off the field. If you're Toronto, maybe you say, "Hey, you come here, we got this set up, man," or maybe I don't know, like here's a house on the lake or something. I don't know. Like
That's
you
what I'm
gotta
wondering. Like a
you gotta
country
do something.
club.
That's what I said. So that's what I said about the Mets and the Yankees. I was talking about Juan Soto, and I said Steve Cohen can promise him the world, and I don't know if the Yankees can. What I meant by that is I think Steve Cohen can open doors up for people that
Right.
maybe the Steinbrenners can. I feel like they can open a lot of doors there, but that's a separator for the Mets. Like Steve Cohen, his connections and the people that he hangs out with, being able to be introduced to a circle like that is appealing to players. So I think that is something the Mets now have. And I think each organization needs to find what that is for them. For the Twins, I don't know what it is. Now you got me thinking. I mean, they're in a flux now. Like they're possibly be selling their team. They're looking to selling it. I don't. I gotta. Let me get back to you on that. What
Yeah.
I think the Twins. I think that's an interesting thought exercise. Like, what could each organization bring to the table? That's not just money. That's not just here's our roster. Like, what? How do you separate yourself? Because they have to figure that out. If you're an organization, you have to figure something like that
Right.
out.
I again, like I wonder about. Oh, someone just rang our doorbell, so Noodle's gonna go nuts.
Noodle.
We will talk about how to fix your organization another time. Nudes, it's okay, pal. Go kill him. Go kill him.
Let's give some time to Uke, I think is where we should end up
Okay,
here.
start cooking.
Yeah, I mean, so I think a lot of people know Uke from Major League. When I was growing up, that's all I knew him from was Major League. And then you realize, oh, that's not an actor. He's actually a broadcaster. And then you're like, oh, wait, this guy's not just a broadcaster. He was a player. And then, like you said, he was on the Carson show. I mean, this guy lived a freaking life, man. And so I think more it's just celebrating a guy that, like, man, like he did it, dude, in all walks of life, and a great guy to boot. I told C Rosie this, man. Like, I made it a point to talk to him whenever I had a chance. Twins played the Brewers every single year as kind of our like interleague rival, if you will. And he didn't have to be nice to me. I'm not like some freaking guy that he has to care about, but he was always cool, always had a joke, just and doing it that long and still being able to have the enthusiasm, I think it's something special. Obviously, he had the aura, the charisma, but I don't think it's. I mean, obviously, it's sad that he's gone, but I think you got to celebrate what this guy brought to the game and the life that he lived, because he lived, playa. He really did.
Yeah, man. And I think it's lucky baseball had him. Like I think I don't know what the comps would be, but like if let's say if young Bob Uecker was happening again, I think NFL would be like, hey, get us that guy. Like that guy's a star. NBA, like again, if this was Milwaukee, the Bucks and Giannis, hey, we want Uecker. Like the fact that baseball had Bob Uecker is very lucky for baseball because
He won
he
a World Series too, Bob.
yeah, and he was like a star. Like he was in TV shows, he was in movies. Like Carson again, like I don't even fully understand the Gen Zers in our office. They have no clue. Like
Mm-mm.
that was it. Like it was Carson or bust. Like
Yeah.
um and he was a regular. So really sad and brutal you know brutal for Milwaukee. Um, and yeah, it's gonna be one of those. It's just gonna be. It's sad. It's very sad. Um,
Yeah, we lost a couple legends over the last, 5 or 6 years with Vinny and him, and I think going back to Major League, that's one of the all-time characters in a movie, dude.
right.
Like you show clips of Bob Uecker in Major League to anybody, and they are going to laugh. It
Right.
is funny. It is great. Very memorable. Probably the most memorable part of that entire series is just a bit outside. Like that's transcends like baseball, and it's like it's in everyone's lexicon. And so it's the impact that he had on the game was almost as much as anybody that's ever played.
Ball 8. Um, that's really good. Yeah, no, if someone watched that movie and they were like, "Oh, who are some of your favorite?" and they'd be like, "Oh, the actor that played the broadcaster, he was hilarious." Um, and he was that. And yeah, it's always wild with the legends like that. The ones that get me is there's tweets that are like, Bob Uecker has called like 3% of all MLB games or something, and you're like, wait, time out. Like, that math can't be right, but it kind of is. So yeah, thoughts go out to Milwaukee. Thoughts go out to all the baseball people. Um, and like I was saying a little bit with the Toronto stuff, I think we are going to see a next step now. Like Toronto, if Roki Sasaki had signed with Toronto, I think they had a very different game plan for whatever they're about to do. And they might go big bucks, man. Like you said, they have the money. They've gotten free agents before, and right now that roster isn't complete. And what could be Vlad's last year, they're going to put something out there. And that goes with every other team trying to figure out Bregman, Alonso, your guy Jack. There's a ton of bullpen options. There's a lot more. So as we trickle, feels like January 7th turned to January 18th really quickly. Like you're going to see a Feb 1 on the calendar soon. That there's still a little bit of juice that's got to go down before spring training. And then there's probably going to be one or two that leak into that is always an interesting plot twist on this season. So anything else you got, Coach?
Twins go sign Pete Alonso to a 1-year gap contract.
Glad we can end with that. All right. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy your weekend. We're no Monday episode, holiday, so this will be rolling through.
Oh, shout out Dr. Martin Luther King.
Shout out. And we will talk to you guys at some point next week.